Tinxie
Hello.
Winxie. It's the
Hi.
one. It's the only. It's Tinx with a bigger microphone.
Oh, hell yeah. Bigger, the bigger the better. Size matters, baby.
I know, but when I met you, you were using a little Vienna sausage microphone, and I know sometimes you sometimes go back to that. You do sometimes have the little microphone, but I love seeing you with a big black mic in your hand.
Big Yeah, this is more my size. I've upgraded, but I do still keep mini mic around for the bit. But everybody else started doing mini mic, so I stopped.
I saw that.
You know?
I did see that. You started a trend. You're a
You get it.
trendsetter. Yes. Oh my God. Congratulations. Tinx has a new book out, everybody. It's a new book. And guess what? It's fiction this time. And it's called Hotter in the Hamptons. And I'm going to guess that it's not autobiographical at all. Is it?
Well, it's, they say to write what you know. It's about an influencer who gets canceled and then goes to the Hamptons to get her groove back. Maybe some of that I experienced, maybe some of it I didn't,
Feels like it's very eerily similar to the truth. But
Kinda.
listen, every work of fiction is based on on some truth from the author. It's impossible it's not impossible. I guess there are lots of authors who could write fiction, who've been trained in writing fiction. But I think when a celebrity writes fiction, and many people write fiction, you have to bring stuff in from your life. So that's totally understandable. And actually, more enticing, in my opinion. I want to know what's real, what's not. First of all, Tinx is already a New York Times bestseller because she had her first book, which was called The Shift, which was a New York Times bestseller. So this is her second foray into the book industry. And this is like a queer love story that takes place in the Hamptons.
Yes.
And that starts out as They start out as enemies. And then slowly, actually not that slowly, because chapter 2 is when things start to come out of people's pants.
It's a classic enemies to lovers situation. And I kind of like whenever I'm reading a smut erotica book, I'm like, get to the sex already. So it starts pretty early on because I feel like that's why people are reading it. So you got to give them a little juiciness early up front. Otherwise you're like, I don't care. Get to the sex part. So. Yeah.
That's actually very formulaic, right? You were saying, Catherine, that romance books typically. I just want you to know, Tix, this is Tix. I can't even fucking talk today. I want you to know, Tix, that this is the first fucking romance novel I've read in my entire life.
Huge
Only
for me.
because it's you. Yes, I can't read romance because I just find it so ridiculous. And this was very entertaining.
And steamy.
And very steamy, very steamy. I have to ask you, when you write so much about queer sex, have you experienced queer sex?
This book is about Lola, not about me.
But the question is, have you experienced?
That's my diplomatic answer. This is about Lola. It's about her journey. A lot of straight women follow me, and I want this book to be a fantasy for them, or I want them to experience new fantasies because of this book. And the reason I love reading, not just in general, not just smut or erotica, but reading in general, is it's like one of the only times that we imagine as an adult. Like we're going about our day, we have work, we have a million things to do, and our creativity and our imagination just gets smaller and smaller because we don't have room to play. And when you read, you imagine. And that's why I'm so obsessed with reading. So I hope this book opens people up and makes them really horny. That is my number one goal, is to make people horny this summer. I think horniness is very criminally undervalued in society today. I think it's important to be horny, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're single, whether you're married, doesn't matter. So that is what I want to achieve with this book.
Vaginas opening everywhere from the east to the west. I also endorse horniness, and I think it is a very healthy way to go through life, is to be horny, to go after what you want, to be open to different kinds of sexual experiences and escapades, if you will, and to get after it. I mean, what's the point of being a woman if you're not going to have fun with your body?
Like literally just get after it, have fun. Don't close yourself off to anything. I think we really all need to just be open to anything. Being a woman, being in your sexuality is so powerful when you own it. When you say, yeah, actually I am horny today. Or when you say, yeah, that person turns me on, or this thing I read turns me on, like whatever. That's so powerful. I feel like being sexual as a woman has been so villainized in so many ways, and it's not about necessarily being slutty. There's a huge difference, and I feel like that's what they want us to believe, like, oh, if you you're horny, you're a bad woman and you're slutty. That's not true at all. We as women, our sexuality is like connected to the cosmos. It's very powerful, and the more that you're in that, the more powerful you'll be.
And slutty is just a word created by men to categorize women who want to sleep with more than them. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
First of all, it's so empowering to be sexually free and sexually liberated. It's especially if you're in, if you're a single woman and you haven't committed yourself to anyone yet. It's like it's exploration. It's finding out not only what you like, it's finding out what you're attracted to, what your standards are, what you desire. Like, it's so much better to be open-minded than to be narrow-minded in terms of sexuality. So it's a nice exploration of that in this book.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about, are you in New York right now? It looks like your background. Yeah, that doesn't look like an LA background. I just saw Tinx recently on my book tour, and she was nice enough to host me at the 92nd Street Y and interviewed me.
So fun.
And then we went to my birthday party, and then we were talking about New York and LA, and in this book there's a lot of New York and LA comparisons. So basically you were saying how much you love New York and your desire to be there more permanently. Talk to me about that a little bit.
I'm just in a season of my life where I like to be in New York. I found it far easier.
There's more sex in New York for sure.
More sex for sure, and more community. Just where I am in my life, I am single, and I like a very full social life. I like to see my friends every week. I like to do things spontaneously. I like to say, hey, let's go get a martini at Finelli's right now. And I want to have 10 friends who can do that. And the truth is, I couldn't do that in LA. It's just not set up for that.
No one wants to have a martini in the middle of the day in LA. Also.
No one. No one wants to have a martini on a Friday night. They say, oh, we can't. The traffic, the Uber, the this, the that.
Well, everybody's sober.
Yeah. And everyone is sober here.
Everyone's sober. Oh, the calories, this and that. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I want to have fun. I'm in a very big fun era of my life, and I want the place that I live to reflect that. It doesn't mean that there's not great things about LA. There are fantastic things about LA. If you are very wealthy and you have a family, LA is a nice place to live. There's a lot of great things to do in LA. It's just not if you're single and horny and like want to go out all the time. It's kind of a little difficult.
I've been trying to move to New York for about 5 years now, and this house in LA that will never be finished that I'm under construction on. Once again, I'm out of my house. Once again, callers, I am living at a friend's house without my dog, Doug. Not for long, though. I'm heading back to Whistler in a couple days. But I cannot wait to finish this house, fucking sell it, rent it. I don't give a shit what happens, but I cannot wait to get an apartment in New York City and start living the life that you're describing. I'm so late. I'm 50. I should have done this when I was 40, but whatever. I don't care about time. I'm even hotter now than I was at 40, so it's going to be even more exciting. And everybody's divorced now, so like this is the time to get back to New York. I
can't wait for my friends to get divorced. I know that's evil, but I cannot wait for them to come back to me. Right now, I'm in the phase where they're all like hunkering down and like having the kids, and I'm like, I'll bide my time. I'll wait. You're gonna come back to me.
And also men break up with their wives at this time. Like there's a lot of divorce that happens between the ages of 40 and 50. So it's good to catch someone on the tail end of their divorce. You know what I mean? If you're looking for someone who's not ready for a commitment and you were looking to have fun, or if you are looking for a commitment.
I feel like a divorce guy could be great for me. I that doesn't scare me at all. In fact, it sounds actually like it could be good. Like a guy who's, in his early 40s, he's been divorced. Maybe he has one kid, so he's not stressed about having more, because I'm not sure that I want kids, so I don't want that pressure on me. And I think that could be great for me. But but he's got to want to have fun. I don't want to it doesn't sound fun to me to just like be in a nuclear family unit or whatever. That doesn't appeal to me. I want someone who's like, let's go to Mexico City this weekend and like, I don't know, take mushrooms at Soho House. Like that's the kind of basic shit that really gets me off. And I want a guy who wants to do that with me.
We're on the same page, Tinx. We're on the exact same page, actually.
I was going to say, maybe you don't need a guy, you need Chelsea.
Apparently of the exact same book, Hotter in the Hamptons. Another thing you said to me when we spoke last time, I think this was on your podcast, or I don't know, maybe it was private, but we'll talk about it. It was about how annoying men are and how bored you are.
Yeah.
Now, was that directed just at LA or is that just an overall sentiment? Because you're not alone, obviously. I'm sure you're well aware.
I find it very hard to my problem with dating is not that I go on all these dates and nobody likes me and whatever. I find the conversation so boring, I'm almost bored to tears. And I'm not saying that in a rude way or to be a bit or whatever, but most of the men I meet, I find them to be very one-dimensional. And when I meet women, every time I meet a woman, she's like, oh, this morning I woke up and I ran a 10K and then I baked some vegan muffins for my dog because he's going through some health issues. And then I went to my job and then I did this and that. Da, da, da. And I'm like, wow, I want to be your best friend and I want to know everything about you. And when I meet men, they're like, it's so hard to like get in there. And look, I've loved men in the past. I've found men interesting in the past, but as I get older, I do find it more and more difficult to find men who are super dimensional. And that is a problem I'm having with dating right now because every time I go on a date, I'm like, oh, I'd rather be with my friends.
I thought I liked this guy and we were FaceTiming and there were a couple moments of silence, like, awkward silence. I mean, FaceTime is pretty awkward when you don't know somebody well. I actually prefer not to have that happen, but this person assaulted me with a FaceTime a few times. And I'm at the place in my life where I'm not filling in gaps of silence. Like, I don't care. If it's awkward, then you talk. Like, I don't have anything to tell you, or I'm pretty confident with who I am. And the moments of silence just were... I just was like, it's a fun experiment to like look at someone and go, yeah, what? Okay, are you going to say something? Because I'm actually not going to say something. And to be on the phone and have that happen, you're like, this is so ridiculous.
It's
like,
so ridiculous.
You don't have anything to. I just met you. You don't have anything to tell me.
No, it's wild. And a lot of men also like. I don't want to I don't like to man bash too much because then I feel like it kind of makes my points less powerful. I'm truly not man bashing, but something that I have found very broadly with dating today is like men don't ask you questions. And because I have my call-in show, this is something that happens to a lot of young women right now. Women, we go on these dates and we're like, well, where did you go? And what did you see? And what da, 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 da. And like, we will fill the silence and we will ask questions because we're genuinely curious about the other person. If you're on a date or if you're on a FaceTime, surely you must have something to ask the person, but they don't.
Yeah, no. It's unreal that how they will talk about themselves and then fail to ask you a question about yourself. You're trying to date me. You're not curious about anything? I mean, I know it's all pretty public, but don't you want to know anything personal about me?
No, I went on a Hinge date last year and I was in a really low point in dating. So I was like, whatever, I'm going to do an experiment. And I actually asked him a lot of questions. Like I was really on my shit. Not in a crazy way, but I was very, very forthcoming with my questions. We went for 42 minutes before he asked me a question about myself. 42. And
what was the question?
And then he was like, I don't actually know what your job is. And it was 42 minutes we were in. And at that point, my martini was done. And I go, you know what? I'm going to be real with you. I'm not feeling it. I'm going to go home. And I went home.
Oh, good for you. I love saying that. I love saying that.
I'm like, how insane is that? 42 minutes and you don't think, oh, this is a conversation. It goes back and forth. And I should be interested in this person.
Well, and like, that's the question that he came up with?
I don't know what you do for a living.
Like, And by the way,
it's not even a question.
Right.
It's not even a question. Like, if the date automatically goes to, oh, what do you do? Where are you from? It's just like, come on, be more interesting. Say, oh, I saw this thing today, or oh, have you watched that show?
Yes.
Da, da, da.
Something that's unrelated to both of you. Talk about a subject matter. That's what I want to hear about. I went on a date the other night. Somebody would set me up. That was nice. And I walked into the bar and this guy was wearing a bomber jacket and drinking Chardonnay. And I just thought, what the... Honestly.
Boner
and then
killer.
I sat down and I said, I don't have a lot of time. I probably only have 15 minutes. And I ordered a Tanqueray and soda. And then he was like, I'm going to get another glass of Chardonnay. And I said, well, enjoy it because I'm leaving. And I left. And it was literally 15 minutes because that's how much time I have to spend with people. Like, I am not in the business. As you're not in the business, at a certain age, you stop pretending that you have to make people feel good. It doesn't matter. I need to feel good. I need to go home and get sleep. I don't need to waste this Tanqueray and soda on you. I'd rather go home and take an edible and go to bed. Like, I don't.
Well, yeah, that's the thing also is like, if you are a person who's in command of their own life and who lives intentionally and has a lot of fun, which isn't a lot of people, no shade, but a lot of people don't have command of their own emotions. Like, I just don't want to waste my time with something that isn't good for either of us. And I think that people need to be more forthcoming, but I also think people need to not take it so personally. If you go on a date and it ends quickly, sometimes girls will write to me and they'll be like, I'm so upset. And I'm like, you didn't like him either. It's okay to just cut your losses and be like, all right, we tried. Cool. See you next time. Time is so precious. Time is the only limited resource we have. It's the only thing we can't get back. You can get back everything else. You can never get back time. And the way that we throw time away in our 20s just on these like endless dates on, the apps and sitting there dating someone for 3 months when you know that they're a loser, like you're better to go home and read a book and take an edible and go to bed. Your time on earth is genuinely better spent on that because, people need to get over the fact that like, you're not going to die if you're single. You could die of boredom in some of these fucking dates because they're so bad.
Well, I think a lot of our listeners are listening thinking, okay, so what happens when you said that to that guy, I'm not feeling it. What was his response?
Hand to God. I maybe didn't say like, oh, I'm not feeling it. I think I said, you know what? I'm really tired. I've got to call it and go to bed. Whatever. But which is code for I'm not having fun. Mm-hmm. But I remember specifically that I was back at my apartment within the hour. I remember that I was, whatever. The next day he texts me and goes, hey, and he fucking walked me home. It was in New York. He walked me home and I was like, Jesus Christ. Did you have fun on that? Like, I couldn't believe it. The next morning he texts me, he goes, hey, I'm actually going to a party in the building next to yours tonight if you wanted to come. No, and I was just thinking, and then I texted him and I said, I'm sorry, I really don't feel an emotional connection. But the most insane part is even when I'm at my worst, even when I'm running a fucking science experiment, I'm still more fun than most of these dudes. I mean, but by the way, it makes sense because if someone lets you speak about yourself for 42 minutes, he had the best time of his life. He didn't even realize.
Yeah,
he was had free therapy and a little light stand up from me. And you got to have a martini. Meanwhile, I'm exhausted. I should have sent him a bill.
The guy that I left with the Chardonnay texted me the next day and said, I know you have a pretty busy weekend coming up. So I just want to let you know, don't work too hard. Have a fun weekend. I was going to like South by Southwest or something. And I said, thanks so much for the drink. Have all the fun weekends, period.
Like, fuck off and leave me alone.
Well, just like, I want to be direct because I don't want to waste anyone's time. I don't want to be mean, but I want to be direct because I think it's just like we as women have to retrain ourselves the way that we exist in relation to men. We're not there to be liked. We're there to like them. And we get confused about being liked and liking them. And you can't just be worried about what someone thinks of you because that can't be the only prerequisite to a relationship is someone liking you. You have to like them and then back it up 20 feet and find out if you do. So, yes, I think that's obviously very common with
women fuck who they want, men fuck who they can. And I stand on that.
This actually, I have a caller who like would dovetail really nicely with this.
Should we get into it? Sure. Let's take a break and we'll be right back with Tinx. And we're back with Tinx, and we have a call. We have a pressing caller, apparently, according to Catherine. Okay, great. Bring it in.
Well, speaking of men wasting everybody's time, Lila writes, Dear Chelsea, my partner and I need some advice on how to handle a really tough situation. Over 2 years ago, my partner's brother was unexpectedly diagnosed with epilepsy at around age 35. At the time, we'd just bought our house and were in the middle of renovating it with the mindset that it would just be the two of us living there. But when he started having seizures, we took him in so he wouldn't have to live alone while adjusting to his diagnosis. Since then, we've done our best to support him, and he's in a much better place now. His seizures are under control with medication, he sees a psychologist, and he likes his new neurologist. He's just shy of 1 year seizure-free. The problem is, living with him has been really difficult. He's constantly in a bad mood, barely interacts with us, and is incredibly passive-aggressive. He makes it clear when he doesn't like something we enjoy to the point where it feels like we're wrong for liking it. We feel like we're walking on eggshells in our own home, and honestly, it doesn't feel like our space anymore. It feels like his. Our house is small for 3 adults, and at one point, we even considered buying a bigger home just to make things more manageable. But we've realized that would just be putting a Band-Aid on the situation. What we really need is for him to move out, but we know this conversation is not going to go well. He doesn't handle things like this in an emotionally mature way, and we're anticipating a lot of negativity, tension, and passive aggressiveness in the aftermath. We want to be clear, firm, and kind when we tell him, but also stand up for ourselves and our needs. How do we have this conversation in a way that sets a boundary while minimizing the fallout? Lila.
Hi, Lila.
Hi.
Hi. Say hi to our special guest, Tinx, today.
Hi, special
Hi.
guest. Thanks. Hello.
Hi.
Okay. So, Tinx, do you want to start or shall I?
You start.
Okay. I mean, this is obviously going to be a difficult conversation, but it's necessary. So, you and your husband are, I'm assuming, Lila, are on the same page?
Yeah, my partner's also a female.
Oh, okay. So great. She's on the same page as you. Okay, great. So, yeah, you guys are going to have to sit down. I mean, honestly, I actually think this is more of her responsibility than yours. But if you want to be a caring partner, then you can. I mean, it is your house. You've had the experience with him. And it is a little bit of a cop out to say, no, you handle it because it's your sibling. Do you feel the same way? Or do you?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
We have said that I think that she should handle that conversation, but I do think I should probably at least be there for that.
Yeah. I think that you have, first of all, you have to firmly state what is going to happen and a time frame. You always have to give people a time frame that is not negotiable. And it can be a generous time frame. It could be 30 days, it could be 60 days, whatever you think is generous. You know what I mean? To give him the benefit of the doubt because he's getting information that is unexpected in his brain. But because of all of the behaviors and because, first of all, because he's gotten himself into a healthier place, he no longer needs to be living with the two of you. So that's just a practical matter. He's got his medication. He's not having seizures. Is he having any seizures at all?
No, nope.
No. Okay. So there was no plan ever for you two to have a third party living with you. So you went out of your way. How long has he been living with you guys?
2 years.
Okay. First of all, he should have been gone a year ago. So that you've been overly generous. And I can just tell by the tone of your voice that you might be a little bit nicer than you're going to need to be in this situation.
For sure. Yeah.
So, and you guys actually should sit down together, you and your partner, before you do this and really like meditate, intentionalize what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, that you are going to be unwavering. And you're going to give him, I don't know, what sounds good to you, 30 days or 60 days?
Honestly, I guess you're right. I'm too nice. I would give him like 6 months.
No,
No,
give him
that's
2
too
months. 2 months or 3 months max.
Yeah.
Not you. 2.5 years. You're going to live with your brother. Your relationship. Your relationship might not survive that. Like your relationship is being fractured by this interloper. And by the way, he's not an interloper. Listen, something bad happened. You guys helped him. You did the right thing. It's family. Family helps family. You would probably do it for a friend too. But 2 years is an exhausting amount of time to share a space with somebody who's passive aggressive, who's insulting to your opinions or your likes or all of these things. And it's just an unpleasant person to be around. So you just have to state it that way. Listen, we've been here, we've helped you, and now we feel like it's been 2 years and we're ready to be, living by ourselves again. You're up on your feet. You can do you can handle this sickness and illness with the meds now. And it's time. Does he work?
Yes, he does.
Great. So what's he doing with his money? Is he paying rent to you guys at all?
A little. I mean, he pays $700, but other than that, like we kind of just did this to like help him get on his feet, have him save money, and like give him an opportunity to like buy something for himself and like actually do something with his life that he likes. But it just feel like he has no plan. He says he's going to go do these things and he just doesn't. Comes up with excuses constantly.
Right. Okay. So I think you should write all of these points down too, so that you can give him a list of things after, like, so that there isn't any confusion in the conversation and any twisting of the words. Like, we wanted to help you out. You were in a bad way. We did that. We wanted you to get on your feet. We wanted you to seek the right medical care. You've done all of these things. Look at all of the things that you've done in the past 2 years, which he's not looking at, right? He's not thinking about how far he's come, but you need to remind him about all of the things that are better than they were. And now is a good time. And even if you say for the next couple months, you don't have to pay us rent while you save money to find your own place. You don't have to pay us $700 unless you really need that money from him.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a very generous amount considering like the type of job that he has. He can absolutely support himself. So,
oh, okay,
yeah,
great.
We definitely do need the money because I'm in school right now and I'm only working part-time, but I'm almost done.
Great. Totally fair. Another thing you could point out, you make a great living. You could totally afford to live on your own. You know, like our relationship, we never intended to have a third person. And while we loved you and totally would never take this time back, blah, 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 it's now time for us to figure out a transition plan for you to leave. But you have to give him a time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like with a
that makes
date,
sense.
a specific date.
Yeah.
Tinx, what do you think?
I completely agree. I think a time frame is super helpful. I think being firm, I think laying it out with your partner what you're going to say beforehand will be helpful, because I agree with Chelsea. You sound very, very nice. And sometimes you get in those situations, and if he's already a bit passive aggressive, he's going to be like, well, you know, what about this and that? You need to be firm. You need to be kind and firm and brief and just lay down the law. And it's time. I feel like you probably don't even realize like how much this is weighing on your relationship and your life. Like, you deserve to have a great life with your partner. You guys have been more than generous. It's time for the next chapter now.
2 years is way too long. You are way past your expiration date.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first year he was having seizures on and off, so it kind of kept pushing the timeline, pushing it. But like now we're getting in a better spot, and he has almost been seizure free for a year. So I kind of feel like we're waiting for these like medications to actually like work well and be comfortable where he's at.
Yeah.
And like now he's seeing a psychologist, and he seems to be like working things out from their childhood that has been tough. So
Great, great. All of these things mean that he's made, like, these are things you should list down for him.
Yeah.
Like all of his milestones that he's made. You know, sometimes people don't remember how far they've come and they still think they're struggling. And it's like, wait a second, you did this, and this. Look at how far you've come. You're resilient, you're strong, and you're ready to be on your own again. And seriously, make a list of all of the things he's accomplished so that he can reflect on that too. You know, that could kind of take some of the sting out. And he may not have a great reaction. It sounds like he probably won't, but don't worry about that. That's not your problem. You have demonstrated loving kindness and compassion. And now you are taking your, you know, like your ownership back of your life. And there is nothing to be sorry about for that.
And I feel like if there are some tantrums, if there's some passive aggressiveness, like expect that. And I think you can just be like, okay, like if he makes a snide comment, like, okay, don't let him bait you into stuff. Don't let him turn this transition period ugly and weird and awkward. Like, let stuff roll off your back, because you know there's a date when it's going to be over.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. It really has caused a lot of stress in our relationship. We
Of course.
I'm sure.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Nobody wants to live with their fucking family member.
Yeah.
Like, nobody in a marriage wants their brother or sister living there. That's just not an ideal situation. Many people do it out of the goodness of their heart and their bonds to their family, but it's not ideal. So, I mean, and 2 years, that's enough. It's enough already. And I would really like impress upon you to say, make it a 2 or 3 month situation, not a 6 month. 6 months will go on. You have to assume it's going to go over a month that you ask for. So just say 2 months is a fair amount of time for you to start looking for a place. If it takes a little bit longer, fine, but we would really love for you to have a plan within 2 months.
Okay.
A living plan.
Makes a lot of sense for
And
sure.
also, and one more thing, don't engage. If he does start an argument, if he does want to get into it, do not engage with that. Just say, I'm so sorry, we're not going to talk to you in this kind of tone. Like, this is not healthy for us and we don't want to. Like, when there's one person arguing by themselves, there's not a big argument happening for very long. So as long as you don't get into it with him and you don't allow your partner, you know, like instruct her to do the same thing, don't get mired in the back and forth and all of that. And like, you did this and you didn't do this. It's like, no, we're simply stating what our boundary is. This is a boundary. People don't like that word, but it's going to bring out the best in him at some point, just maybe not right away.
Yep, totally, for sure. I agree with that.
All right. Will you keep us posted, Lila?
I will. Yeah, I will check back in for sure.
All right.
Good luck.
Thank
Be
you.
strong.
Thank you.
Be strong, Lila.
I will. Thank you so much.
I wish I knew about boundaries earlier on in my life.
know,
You know,
right?
I'm boundaryless. I had no boundaries. I mean, I still am a little bit murky on the boundary stuff because sometimes I just can't help myself. You know, I'm like, oh, you know, I want to give my driver a massage inside my house. I mean, not for me, but you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
And I have so many friends who are like, Chelsea, that is a line that you cannot cross. And it always bites me in the ass. It does bite me in the ass.
Well, our next question comes from Claire. Claire says, Dear Chelsea, I need some advice, wisdom, clarity, anything at this point. My partner of 10 years cheated on me and left me for his coworker about a year and a half ago. The relationship wasn't perfect, but it turns out I was the only one trying to make it work since he was lying about his feelings, lying about going to therapy, and apparently this woman. I've been working with my therapist to rebuild, but there's one thing that I think you'd have some helpful insight on. I'm turning 35, and it's been a scary age for me because I'm on the fence about kids. I'm worried that I won't find someone else because they're either all taken or crazy or think I'm too old, and that whether I want kids or not, I'll just run out of time for the option. I've looked into egg freezing, but it's so cost prohibitive, and the current political climate makes it scary. I was never one of those people who thought I needed a man to feel happy and the whole marriage 2.5 kids white picket fence thing. But I do know after this experience that I want a partner, something I didn't know before I met him. Now I feel like I'm too old and it's too late, even though everyone tells me it's not. But I know a lot of women in their 40s and 50s who went through what I did at this age and have pretty much been single ever since. I think I have to accept the possibility that it will just be me and my dog, but I'm not sure how to do that. Do you have any advice for getting to the point where you like yourself enough that being alone is okay and releasing the heteronormative, misogynistic idea that doing so would make me a failure? Sincerely yours, Claire.
Hi, Claire.
Hi.
Hi, this is our special guest, Tinx.
Hi, Claire.
You have to have some healthier conversations with yourself. Do you have a therapist?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you need to start, first of all, you need to start getting up every day and writing positive things about yourself. Start writing things that you're grateful for in your life. It could be your dog. It could be the air that you're breathing. It could be your face. It could be your skin. It could be your sister. It could be anything. Just get up every morning and write down 10 things that you're happy about because you need a vibe shift. And in about 15 days of doing that, your vibe will shift. Now, you need to get into the attitude of gratitude instead of looking at what you don't have and what you lost. While that is not like, I don't want to negate anything that happened to you. That is heartbreaking that your husband left you for somebody he worked with. And all of that is heartbreaking. But you're also free from that. That wasn't the person for you. You're free from that. That is a gift. You're 35 years young. 35 years old is nothing. Do not worry about what your age is. Worry about your state of happiness and your state of self-love. You need to work on really, really getting to know who you are and what you want instead of meeting the expectations that you think the outside world has for you. Marriage and children, that's fine. You need to find out, do you really even want that? Or is that something that you've been taught to want?
Yeah, this is something that I've been working on with my therapist. And right after he left, I got a gratitude journal. I was like, this isn't working. And my therapist was like, nothing is going to work right now because of the trauma you just went through. So I've been thinking about picking that back up and trying to do listening to self-affirmations. It's just so hard to believe them kind of at this point.
It takes time to start, it's the engine of gratitude. It takes, like Chelsea said, a few days. It takes some consistency. But I promise you, I'm in a similar, ish boat. I'm 30. I'm about to be 35. I'm single. And I have to tell you, a vibe shift is possible because I'm 35 and single. And I'm like, oh my God, I could do anything. I literally could do anything. I'm so young. I don't know what I want. I'm open. Isn't that exciting? And like Chelsea said, you're free now to start again. And that is the most beautiful thing is you have the autonomy to make your life what you love. And for me, I really resonate with a lot of what you say. You're like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it will just be me. Am I okay on that? And anytime I get into that fuzzy space, I'm like, how can I make myself happier? That's not a selfish thought. That is the most important thing that we don't teach ourselves in this world. You have to make yourself happy. You have to say, okay, what am I grateful for? What am I going to do this weekend for me? How am I going to reframe my life and my energy to give myself love? Because you're right. You have been through something traumatic. To be cheated on, to be left, that is a traumatic thing, but it's over now. And now you need to focus on yourself because there is so much good ahead of you. The best is 100% yet to come. You just have to start living in that space.
Mm-hmm. And I do agree. There is something about affirmations that you do kind of have to fake it till you make it. You say them and they sound like bullshit until you say them enough times and they start to sound true. And then you feel it. You've seen it in 100 movies, totally. Right?
It's absolutely true that it can feel, it's the same with meditation. It's the same with affirmations. It's the same as writing down. Every morning I look in the mirror and say, hello, beautiful. What kind of shenanigans are we going to get up to today? I say that to the mirror every single day. And I fucking believe it because I'm like, who fucking knows what you're going to get up to gratitude today. Like, and the thing is, yes, your trauma is your trauma. Everyone has their trauma. Something terrible happened to you. Every disaster in your life is a gift. And you have to look at it like the gift is ahead of you. Don't you want to get it? Don't you want to get after it and find out what's waiting for you? Because there is a whole other life for you now. There's a whole other self-exploration. I didn't find out who I was until I was like 42 years old. Like I didn't really get down to business until I really, and really went to therapy and started to understand my pain and started to understand, oh, I don't even want to, and I'm not saying this is going to be you, but I'm like, wait, I don't even want a long-term partner. I want I had to admit that I wanted multiple partners, that I wanted lots of lovers, that I wanted to I never wanted children. So that wasn't an issue that I had to contend with. But like, this is a growth curve for you. Like this is a huge growth experience and you need to lean into it instead of being scared to go into it. You know what I mean? You need to like dive head first and be like, this is all about me. The next 6 months are all about me, what I like to do, when I want to do it. If you want to lie in bed all day and watch TV, do that. If you want to go out, with your friends and go on some crazy vacation, do that. If you want to spend join clubs or book clubs or a bowling club, whatever the fuck you want to do it. You know what I mean? You're free to do whatever you want. You don't have a partner limiting or prohibiting anything.
Yeah, I've been doing all of that. I've gone on a couple of vacations this year and been trying to do like I've joined some groups that I've been volunteering with and stuff. I think the hardest part for me is the mind shift thing. It's like while I'm doing those things, my brain is still ruminating on like, well, you're doing this alone kind of thing. And I think that's the hardest hurdle for me. And you're right. I just have to keep trying with the gratitude and the affirmations and stuff.
But even moreover, I want you to picture that you have a daughter in like 5 years. You have a daughter and she gets to see this whole version of you. What do you want to show her? What do you want to demonstrate for her? That you grabbed life by the balls and that you went after it and that you didn't sit there thinking about your ex and what his girlfriend are doing. That's none of your business anymore, okay? He's out of your life. And yes, while that is heartbreaking and traumatizing, once you get through all of that murkiness, there is a whole big rainbow waiting for you. I promise you. So like, just think about this little girl that is going to come into your life at some point. Okay. And how do you want her to see her mother? And how do you want her to look at that time that she spent after this?
Yeah.
And then make your decisions based on that.
That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. And how long ago was your breakup, by the way?
About a year.
A year. Okay. So that's a good, fair amount of time to kind of wallow and feel, shitty. Take this year mark and this phone call and like, let's turn it around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And start with the gratituding every morning. Write it down 10 times. Write it on paper. Don't write it in your notes section or on, your computer. Write it down and leave it out. And every once in a while, go back and look, and then you're going to see this like progression of how you become happier and, start meditating. Even if it's just 3 minutes a day, just add it to your repertoire. Like my pursuit is to be a happier person. My pursuit is to fall more and more in love with myself. And don't worry about the men. Just worry about yourself right now.
Yeah. You said something a couple minutes ago about like, I'm going through this alone, and it was a negative, but when things like that come out of your mouth, find a way to turn it into a positive. You get to go through this next year alone. You get to do whatever the hell you want. You get to make all of the decisions for yourself and do what makes you happy. So like, take opportunities to like turn stuff like that on its head. When you hear it in your head, when you hear it come out of your mouth, turn it around.
And the thinking of like, the exes and all that stuff, I promise you down the road that will all come around full circle
100%.
and you're not going to care when it does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so just imagine that time because it will happen. It always does. That's the way the world works. And karma is a real thing. So keep yours healthy and be on your own team.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks,
we love
Claire.
you. Chin up. Be happy.
Thank you.
Start smiling.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Too.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, she seems sad.
Yeah. I think this will be the jump start she needs.
Yeah. Lots of people need a jump start.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. We'll take a quick break, and we're going to come back with one more caller and wrap up with Tinxie Winxie. And we're back. Oh, shit.
She always does the bit.
Sorry, I forgot.
Well, our last caller today is Ava. She is 23. Dear Chelsea, I'm 23 years old and I live in California. I'm Californian, born and raised. I moved to LA about a month ago. I have a childhood friend whose life has taken a lot of the same turns as mine. We went to the same college and are now both living in LA, not together though, and not intentionally. She's a dear friend and her good qualities are amazing, but her bad qualities often feel detrimental. She's a bit clingy and jealous. She gets butthurt when I have plans with other friends that do not include her, even going as far as tracking my location and asking what I'm doing all the time. I want to be inclusive, but I want to carve my own way in this new city and do not want to feel like I have a jealous boyfriend looking over my every move. I do not think her behavior is ill-intended, just a bit immature and lingering effects of some past issues of being left out. Due to her immaturity level, I would find it hard to have an honest conversation with her about this. Since she's intertwined with my childhood and college friends, which is basically all of my friends, I do not see letting the friendship slip as an option. Please advise, Ava.
Hi, thanks for having me. This is the best day ever.
Hi.
Oh, hi, cutie.
Hi.
Look how cute you are.
How's it going?
This is Tinx, our special guest today.
Hi, huge fan of both of you. Thanks for having me today.
Sure thing. So, I mean, you're going to have a conversation with her. It's just a matter of how truthful the conversation will be. So, why is she tracking your location?
I know. We lived together at once, and so that's kind of where the location thing came in. But yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I want to do my own thing and I want to, carve my own way, and it makes it very difficult. And I think that's what's hard, is having that kind of conversation with honesty, but also with kindness. I just don't know how to find that balance.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it has to come from a very, very loving place with somebody who's delicate. Tinx, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like this is so I completely understand. I've been in similar situations like this. Also, when you're 23, your friendships feel heightened, and she just loves you. She just wants to be around you all the time. But, that's not your problem. You need to set this boundary. I think for me, I always try to approach conversations like this with at least a little bit of humor and lightness. So maybe it's like the next time she's like, why are you at this coffee shop without me? I think maybe the next time you see her, just go, I love you, but I can see other people without you. And it doesn't mean I love you any less. Sometimes I go places without you, kind of saying it in that way, lighthearted, so that she doesn't feel like it's some big, sit down attack thing. Cause again, it sounds like she is a little bit delicate.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thank you.
Chelsea, what do you think?
I would say, if the sit-down conversation, I think that's great advice. I think if the sit-down conversation, if she's too immature for that, which she probably is, then it's probably going to hurt her feelings, and it's going to blow up to a point where you're going to start to feel guilty about how you made her feel, which is like getting back to square one. So yeah, I would drop little hints like that, the way Tinx is suggesting, in a humorous way, and be like, oh, okay, I don't know.
We can't be attached at the hip,
Like we don't live together anymore. Like you don't need to track me. I don't want to stress you out by me. I don't want to stress you out by you seeing what I'm doing all day. But obviously I have other people in my life, honey. I think the great line is, it doesn't make me love you any less. But we're not I actually don't know how to sell someone who's so needy. I just could never fucking tolerate that shit. You know what I mean?
It's so young 20s. Because I lived with girls all throughout my 20s, and we had such relationships like that, where it was you get in the pattern of doing everything with them, and then one day someone's like, oh, I'm going to get Froyo alone, and everyone's like, oh, call the Royal Guard, what's happening? So it's just I think that the more light and goofy you can do it is better, because again, it does feel like an intense situation. So yeah, I think saying something like that, or saying, or like joking and being like, dude, if you don't stop tracking me, I am going to stop sharing my location. Just like in a kind of a jokey like tone like that. And just be like, sometimes I just got to see the other people, and be like, I have to go make memories so that I have gossip to tell you when I come to see you next, always light with the tone. And, if she doesn't get the hint, if she takes it really seriously, then, it's time to go to square two.
What about the idea of Tinx? Let me know what you girls think about this. Catherine's you too. Like, what do you think about complaining about her? This is very passive aggressive, but what do you think about complaining about her qualities, pretending they're about someone else to her? Like, what about that? What if you're like, oh my God, this guy, or one of my girlfriends, she's on me all the time. She's texting me all the time. Like, what is that approach?
Like, can you believe she only wants me to hang out with her? That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what's horrible? I think I've done that before. And I don't think the hint was really going through.
Yeah, that's not pretty straightforward advice. I'm usually against kind of being passive aggressive, but like sometimes with people you have to be so special, like, you have to handle so delicately. It's exhausting.
Totally. Yeah. I love that though. Not a whole intervention. I think that feels super approachable. That feels great.
Yeah. Like, address it when it comes up. And I also think like maybe today is the day we stop sharing location. What do we think, gals?
I don't know. How do you say that?
No, she'll freak out if you just remove it. Then she'll freak out. Like that's too much.
Well, maybe you just I don't know. Maybe you just say you removed everyone's like sharing location. Like you just realize not everybody needs it except for your mom or your dad or whatever.
Yeah, like I did a refresh. I just did a refresh.
I didn't even think about it. I just was looked at. I was sharing locations with so many people. I just was like, why? This is not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's easy, I think, to do. I have to check out my locations because someone said something that's like that to me the other day, and I'm like, how many people am I sharing locations with? And then I looked, and it's like fucking 400 people, like 3 ex-boyfriends. I'm so stupid. No. I know. Well, no, I mean, obviously, no one's coming to get me. I mean, knock on wood. Anyway, thanks for calling in, and I hope we were able to help. Tinx was able to. Tinx is her new name. I've decided it's a tick, like a summer tick.
I won't leave you alone.
A tick in the Hamptons. She helped you though, so that's
I love
good.
it. Thank you both so much.
Good luck. Bye, babe.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
There's nothing I abhor more than needy friends. I cannot fucking handle it. I am not needy, and I don't want you to need me. That's why I don't have fucking children.
It turns me off. It's so it's just so annoying. Like the neediness or insecurity in the friendship. It's really a turnoff for me and friends. I don't have any insecure friends.
And the thing that I really hate is when friends get jealous of you hanging out with other. I had a friend who would get mad if I hung out with someone she introduced me to without her. I'm like, that's how people meet. That's how people get introduced. Do you know how many people I've introduced that are best friends without me? Like, I fucking love that.
Which is great.
Leave me out of the equation. Yeah. I don't care. Like, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do is connect people in life. Like, you're supposed to introduce the people you love to each other, and hopefully they make a connection.
No, I take it as a point of pride when I see people that I've introduced hanging out together. That's good. Good people know good people. I love being a connector. But when people get weird about it, I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, we're adults.
Yeah.
People are insecure. A lot of people are insecure. Most people are insecure.
What's your love status right now, Tinx? Is anything happening in your neck of the woods?
I'm single. I mean, I'm going on a few dates, but I'm pretty single. I'm pretty happy. I'm honestly having the time of my life. Like, I just got back from Miami with my friends. My book's about to come out. Like, shit's good. I'm having a good time.
And are you working with a dating coach?
She came on my podcast, and she is like this, really famous dating coach. And I said in the middle of it, oh, why don't you look at my dating profile and like tell me what you think in the middle of my podcast? She read me to filth. She was like, this is the worst dating app profile. Your pictures are too slutty. This is too negative. We got to change all this. Because I said on there, I said, no one who will be intimidated. I travel a lot for work. I'm looking to have fun. And I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, God, this is so, but at the end of the day, that's who I am. I do come in the bit like that. I'm very like, yeah, I'm like that. I'm like, don't do that. This is me. I like to have fun. And I do dress like a slut. So I feel like I should be honest about that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you put your you put your most honest foot forward. Even if that foot has 2 bunions, you're like, listen, this is me, this is who I am, and this is how it's going to be. Because then there shouldn't be any confusion.
Exactly.
And I don't like
being honest.
Yeah, I don't like I don't like people who come in and say, "Oh no, you got to do this." How would you know? Like, are you're not a professional dater, obviously, because you're running a dating website or dating coaching, whatever it is. But I agree with that. I think the honesty is always the best policy, which is why I just told that girl to lie to her friend. Okay, so Hotter in the Hamptons is Tinx's new book. It comes out May 6th. It's going to be available everywhere. It's available for pre-order. So please pre-order your book. Enjoy it. It's time to get frisky in the summertime, everybody. Okay, ladies? And thank you, Tinx. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Always a pleasure. This was fabulous. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Have a great day.
Bye.